Good morning, friends. My name is Chris Bishop. I'm with Heart First Yoga and Wellness. I'm also a teaching fellow at the Mind Tribes Yoga Lab. What I have in mind for today is a 60-minute gentle vinyasa flow practice. What I'll be using to support my practice in terms of props today are 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks for most of what we're doing today, if you had a small stack of paperback books, I would recommend that for a more dynamic, active practice, but for this practice today, a small stack of paperback books should work really well. I'm also going to be using a strap. Now, if you don't typically use a strap in your practice, you may not choose to use one today. For me, this is an important part of my practice on a daily basis, so I'll use one today as well. If you don't have a strap, but you would like to have that kind of support in your practice, you can do the same thing with a nylon belt. There will be some standing phase to the practice as I planned it today. When we get to that standing, before we get to that standing portion, I would have given you a couple of options that are more accessible for lots of different bodies. So when we get into these Sun Salutations and we're up on our feet, if that is more sensation than what your body is calling for today, that's no problem. Just come back to those versions and I'll cue you for them when we're at that time. You'll still find it to be a constructive use of your time with meaningful movement that you can coordinate in tandem with your breath. So for today, I'm going to ask you to start in Supta Baddha Konasana. So come down onto your back, bring the soles of your feet together, pinky edge blades of your feet, press down into the earth. If you're already getting way too much sensation in your hip flexors, you can place blocks under your knees to support them and manage the sensation. Let your whole spine come to rest on the earth. In fact, maybe pick your head, bring your chin to your chest, then extend through the crown of your head and gently set the back of your head down on your mat. Maybe your hands can be anywhere with the backs of your hands down on the floor of your home or your mat, from down by your waist to all the way up over your head. You could choose to have one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. I find that helps me really engage with my breath. Or if I'm having one of those days where the stories that my head is telling my heart are mean or relentless, I place both hands on my heart and I just ask for gentleness. So arrive at the shape. Notice where you're feeling sensation. Maybe all the places where your body is coming into contact with the earth through your mouth. Or perhaps the sensation of your breath. Maybe a cool rush of air around your nostrils as you inhale. The rise and fall of your sternum. Or maybe a warm rush of air on your upper lip as you exhale. Start to lengthen out your breath. And if you're inhaling or exhaling through your mouth at all, can you shift that breath so it's all through your nose? And inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. And as you notice the sensation here, continue to lengthen out your breath. So I want to share something with you this morning that's been coming up for me a number of times over the past few weeks. But to get there, I'll tell you, I've identified 5 or 6 people who are clearly, with whom I have like a mentor-mentee relationship with yoga teaching, where they're the mentors, I'm the mentee. And I was fortunate this week to be able to take classes from 3 of them. And one of them yesterday, my teacher, my mentor, did a breakdown of crow pose, which is an arm balancing pose that I like very, very much. But I don't teach it often and I don't cue for it, simply for the reason that I see people shame themselves over this. I don't know why this pose in particular, but I know it happens all the time. They shame themselves over their either not being able to crow pose, not yet being available to them, or they don't feel like it's a good enough crow pose. So draw in a deep, deep, deep inhale, hold it at the top, and then an exhale, open your mouth audibly, sigh out. Now draw in a deep, deep inhale. Hold it at the top. Close down your mouth. And then exhale with the same, through your nose with the same quality as if you were standing in front of a mirror trying to fog the mirror with your breath. So add some texture to your breath. Maybe a light sound like an ocean wave. Now maintain that same texture as you inhale. So this Ujjayi pranayama, this victorious breath, comes to have texture both on the inhale and the exhale. So when my teacher cued this yesterday and did this breakdown for crow pose, I had so much fun with this pose. You know, it was a reminder to me that maybe I should be teaching that more, but just do it with some context, as my teacher gave yesterday. Take your hands on the outside of your knees. And like you were closing the book, draw your knees in together. And lift your knees up so they're floating over your hips. Bring the soles of your feet together again. And then bring your hands on your shins, just above the ankle. And start to make a figure eight shape with your knees, like an infinity symbol. Right? And then after the practice, I was talking with one of my fellow students who's who's developed a beautiful practice over the last 6 or 7 months. And she was sharing that she didn't feel like she was very good at yoga. You know, I was trying to encourage her, you're doing all the right things, there are no shortcuts, but keep coming back to your mat. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Now find stillness, come back to center, and then change the direction of your figure eight as you make this infinity sign with your shins. Right? And she also, this fellow student, also disclosed that over the last 6 months, as she's been consistent in her yoga practice, her high blood pressure medication, which she's been taking for decades, she's been able to stop taking that. And I thought, Mike, you're not doing a miracle. And I know for a fact that this teacher who taught the class, if she had been able to pick between, would this student 6 months into her practice have a beautiful crow pose, or be able to come off her blood pressure medication, she would choose the blood pressure medication. Easy. Come back to center. Interlace your hands on your right shin. Press the heel of your left foot forward. You can bring it all the way down to the mat. Flex all 10 toes towards your face. And then draw your right knee in towards your chest. But that reminded me of how my goals for my yoga practice change and flux over time. So there was a time where I had some vague goals that seem a little bit silly right now. Release your shin, start to straighten through your right leg, take the sole of your foot closer to parallel to the ceiling. So if your hamstrings are tweaky, you might have a pretty deep bend in your knees. I've got a bend in mine. Interlace your hands somewhere on the back of your right leg. It could be the thigh, could be the shin. Maybe you can even reach up to the foot. But choose to draw in for a level of sensation that feels healing for your body. Like, I remember when I wanted more than anything else in my practice was be able to press up into a handstand in the center of the room, which, by the way, I still cannot do. Release your right arm out to the side. Use your left hand. Draw your right heel across the center line of your body. Now, depending on your flexibility in your legs, you may not have to go very far. For me, I just barely crossed the center line. I got a really intense stretch in the IT band on the outside of my right thigh. So stop when you get to that level of sensation. Inhale the sole of your right foot up parallel to the ceiling, and then change the support with your hands. You take your right hand behind your right thigh to your left arm out to the side. Let gravity lower the pinky edge blade of your left foot off the earth. It may not come all the way down to the ground. Mine doesn't. That's okay. If your left hip point, when it starts to lift up, gently press it back down in space. Right? But then I had a total hip replacement 3 months ago, and in the days and weeks that followed, my biggest goal for my yoga practice was to be able to put on a pair of socks without having to ask someone for help. Inhale the sole of your right foot back up parallel with the ceiling. Exhale, draw that right knee in towards your chest. And now shift the movement away from the chest, more out towards your right shoulder. So if that sounds facetious, I promise you I mean that really sincerely. And I started practicing yoga about 6 days after my hip replacement, a gentle, modified version. I use a chair for almost everything. And the practice helped me to get there. Now, release your right leg, press the heel of your right foot forward, past the top edge of your mat, throw your left knee in towards your chest. And interlace your hands on that left shin. Right? And this whole thing was a nice reminder of what the value of the yoga practice has been for me. And I had thought leading up into the hip replacement that I had a pretty holistic view of accessibility within yoga spaces. But the hip replacement very quickly showed me that was not the case. My view was not as holistic as I thought. Interlace your hands on the back of your left thigh. Start to straighten your left leg. You may still have a deep bend in your left knee. That's okay. Solely your left foot, any amount more parallel to the ceiling. All right, so now what I want from my practice is I want a yoga practice that grows and evolves and changes to meet the needs of my body. And there will be times when my body is growing stronger. Well, I'll look for more strength and more of a dynamic practice, but I also anticipate times where my practice will need to wait a little bit, and I'll have to back things off a little bit. To your left arm out to the side, use your right hand, draw your left heel across the center line of your body to the point where you get your desired level of sensation in the outside of your left thigh. And one of the beauties of yoga for me, it is so diverse, and there are so many different ways that we can practice yoga, that I think yoga literally is for everybody, and yoga literally, for me, will be for every phase of my life. Take your left, solely left foot parallel to the ceiling. Change the grip of your hands. To your right arm out to the side. Left hand supports as your left thigh descends towards the left hand edge of your mat. Press your left hip point, your right hip point rather, back down into place. Right, so what's important for the yoga practice? What is my number one goal? I'd like to be able to move with dignity and grace for my entire lifespan. And that will look different at different times, but I want it to be with dignity and grace the whole time. And I would like to have enough presence of mind to be able to stay in the moment and respond gracefully when life gets difficult, when I have adversity. Inhale. Draw the sole of your left foot back up parallel to the ceiling. Exhale, draw your left knee first in towards your chest, then shift it out towards your shoulder. And then join that left knee with your right. Briefly, give yourself a nice squeeze. And then float your knees over your shins, or over your hips rather, shins parallel to the earth. Flex all 10 toes back towards your face. To your arms out to the side. Inhale right here. Exhale, lower your knees off to the left. They may not come all the way down. It's okay. When your right shoulder starts to lift off, stop right there. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, lower your knees to the right. Inhale, lift up to center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower your knees down to the left. If you wanted to add sensation, you can shift your gaze out over the fingers of your right hand. You can also straighten that right leg. Take the sole of that right foot closer to parallel to the top edge of your mat. Or maybe take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh. But so there are lots of different skillful motivations and goals that people can have in yoga practice. And I certainly don't mean to say that goals are not appropriate. Sometimes when I hear people's goals and the goal is this acrobatic, Instagram-ready pose, I just want to tell people, think bigger. Think bigger. What's really going to be meaningful in your life? If you've chosen to straighten that right leg, put a bend in your right knee. Inhale, your knees back up to center. Exhale, lower your knees off to your right. Take this to your level of sensation. So if you've chosen a bend in that left leg, go ahead, or to straighten it rather, put a bend back in place, come back up to center, rest the soles of your feet down on the earth. Now place the pinky edge blade of your right foot on the outside of your left thigh, just above the knee. Flex the toes on your right foot back towards your right knee, and then tee your arms out to the side. Lift your left knee, throw your left knee in towards your chest. Use the muscles in your legs, press your right knee forward toward the top edge of your mat. So we're going to use this as sort of a benchmark, but this is a no arm thread knee. So really gentle hip opening to start. Now, lower the sole of your left foot back down to your mat. Release your right foot. Place the sole of your left foot, pinky edge blade, on the outside of your right thigh, just above the knee. Flex the toes on your right foot back towards your right knee. Lift your right knee like you were trying to touch your chest. Press your left knee forward. All right, so I don't have nearly the mobility with my left hip right now as I do with my right, so it may look very different from one side to the other. That's okay. Super common. Now, lower your right foot down to the earth. Release your left leg. Draw your knees into your chest one more time. Maybe rock a little bit, find a gentle rocking movement. Maybe a side-to-side walk here would feel nice. And then cross at the ankles. Maybe start to rock from head to heel. And however you want to get there, make your way into a tabletop position with your shoulders floating over your wrists, your hips floating over your knees. And we're going to articulate some gentle movement in your spine. So on an inhale, tuck your toes, drop your belly down toward the earth, turn your eyes and your elbows forward toward the top edge of your mat. Lift your gaze slightly, open your heart to the front edge of your mat. Exhale, press your shins down into the earth, press into your hands, round through your shoulder blades. Inhale, drop your belly, open your heart. Exhale, press the point between your shoulder blades up toward the stars. Maybe take your gaze to your belly button. And then move through this cat rolling flow about 3 more times to the cadence of your own breath. And then after about 3 times, come back to a neutral spine position. Rock your shoulders forward so they're floating over your wrists, and then with hands and elbows both shoulder distance apart, so your elbows graze your ribs, come all the way down onto your belly. And then find space pose. Float your shoulders over your elbows. Traction into your hands, draw your heart forward. Press the shoelace parts of both feet down into the earth, maybe enough that your knees lift up off the earth. Now with the hands, you're not pressing up, but rather drag your heart forward. Soften through your belly. As you soften through your belly, feel your gut tissues lengthen. So a little gentle compression in the low back, a lengthening through the whole front plane of the body. Stomach and spleen meridians from TCM. So for the next shape, it might be nice to place a block close to the top edge of your mat. So the cueing for this might be screwy, especially for a vinyasa formatted class. So I'll demo as well. But slide the palm of your left hand forward so that left elbow comes off the earth. Now wrap your right arm across the front plane of your body, the palm of your right hand facing up. Walk the fingers of your right hand further over to the left. Now wrap your left arm over your right. Again, palm facing the sky, walk your left hand further to the right. Tuck your toes under your feet, and then rock the crown of your head forward. All right, so I mentioned the block. I cleared mine out so you can see better, but sometimes it's really nice here in this broken branch shape to rest your forehead on the block. So a lot, potentially, depending on your body, a lot of sensation in the shoulders here. So if it's too much, you can always tuck your toes under your feet and draw your heels back. Whenever you want more sensation, continue pressing the crown of your head forward. this shape is the feeling of lengthening between my shoulder blades. Now, tuck your toes under your feet, draw the crown of your head back, take your left hand out in front of you, press into that palm, lifting that left elbow again. Come back to Sphinx arm with the right arm, Sphinx arm with the left arm. Now slide your right hand forward, right elbow lifts up off the earth. Take your left arm across the front plane of your body. Reach those left fingers as far over to the right as you can. Wrap your right arm in front of your left arm. Walk those fingers further out. And tuck your toes under your feet. Rock the crown of your head forward. Your breath is dropped off, come back to your breath. For some of that meaningful movement, we did that cat rolling earlier from tabletop position, where we drop the belly, open the heart for cow, and then press the point between the shoulder blades up toward the stars for cat. So as we move into Sun Salutations, we're going to start with a gentle version, but when we get up into the standing ones, if you want to scale things back, it's 100% okay. Either the gentle Sun Salutations or that cat rolling that I just described again are great ways for you to spend your time. Tuck your toes under your feet, rock your heels back toward the wall behind you, unravel your right arm, press into the palm of that right hand, Sphinx with the left arm, Sphinx with the right arm, and then lower your heart down into the earth, take your hands under your shoulders, press back through tabletop to child's pose. So knees out, nice and wide, bring your big toes together to touch, press the tops of your feet down into the earth, press your heels down towards your seat, reach your arms forward, and then let everything come to rest on the earth. If your forehead doesn't comfortably and easily come down to rest on the mat, that's okay, but place a block or that small stack of paperback books under your forehead. But I want you to be able to find ease here. And also, I will tell you, for my hips, pressing my seat all the way down to my heels is not a friendly shape. It doesn't feel good. So I've got my seat lifted significantly off my heels. If that's the case, if that's what you need to do for your body, that's 100% okay. And if you've chosen a block or your books, move those out of the way. And then inhale, rock forward through tabletop into a modified high plank. Float your shoulders over your wrists. And then as your elbows graze your ribs on an exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Hands under your shoulders, press the tops of your feet into the earth. Lift your heart to the front in an easy cobra. And you can put some gentle pressure on your hands this first one. Exhale, lower your heart down to the earth. Press up through tabletop on child's pose. Inhale, rock forward. Modified chaturanga, lower all the way down. Inhale, easy cobra. And you can, if you choose, lift a little bit higher up. Let your shoulder blades glide down your back. Exhale your heart down to the earth, press back to child's pose. So these are the gentle Sun Salutations that I mentioned. So when we start moving into Sun Salutation A's, if that doesn't feel good, you can always come back here. Inhale, walk forward one more time. Exhale, lower your heart down to the earth. Inhale, open your heart, easy cobra. Exhale, press back to child's pose. And then you can rock forward, stay in tabletop position. Exhale right here. Inhale, tuck your toes under your feet. Exhale, press up into a downward facing dog. So make an inverted V shape where your seat is the peak of that V. Press down into the top row of knuckles, so the knuckles where your fingers meet your hand, especially the index finger and thumb. A bend in your knees is okay. If you're tight in the hamstrings and lower back like I am, a bend in the knees is okay. Gently guide your elbows down toward the earth, where your shoulders wrap into your armpits. Find a neutral position for your neck. Maybe a little bit of gentle movement. You can pedal your feet out, sway your hips. After a couple pedals, I like to take the Achilles heel of one foot and place it in the webbing between the big toe and the index toe of the other foot, and gently traction it down toward the earth.
You can do that same action on the other side. Now find stillness in the lower body, really engage with the upper body. If this down dog is too much sensation, do puppy dog. Float your hips over your knees, walk your hands out forward, lower your forehead, your heart down to the earth. Hips stay floating over your knees the whole time. But otherwise, downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step forward to the top edge of your mat into ragdoll, uttanasana. Feet hip distance apart. Put a nice bend in your knees. Glue your belly to your thighs. In anything what you want with your hands, as long as your arms and shoulders are relaxed. So gravity can draw it down toward the earth. You might grab opposite elbows and sway. Or maybe interlace your hands at the base of your skull. Traction and a little bit more weight, drawing the crown of your head down toward the earth. So as you warm in the shape, if you choose, you can start to lift your sits bones up toward the stars, but leave your belly glued to your thighs. So for most bodies, that's going to mean a bend in the knees the whole time. That's okay. And release your hands down to the earth. Inhale for a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Press your hands into your shins. Find a long, straight spine from the crown of your head to your tailbone. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet, slight bend in the knees. Lift up, come up to rise. Lift your gaze, look at your hands. Exhale, draw your hands into heart center. Set a soft gaze at your fingertips. Inhale, sweep your fingers up toward the stars. Lift your gaze again, look at your hands. Interlace your middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. Exhale right here. Inhale, press down into your feet, lower the crown of your head and your fingertips. Exhale, drop your hands off to the right. Press your hips over to your left. And you can shift your gaze up onto your right elbow. You can also take it down toward your mat on the left side of your left foot. The right side of your right foot. Inhale, rise up the center. Exhale, drop your hands off to the left, press your hips over to the right. Find a position for your neck that feels comfortable for your neck. Inhale, lift back up to center. Exhale, hinge the hips into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, with your hands down to the mat. Come into a high plank, a high push-up position. You can do this knees up or knees down, but inhale, rock forward, shoulders float over your wrists. Exhale, come halfway down, chaturanga. And then hard work of your choice. You can do Sphinx or Easy Cobra like we started. I'm going to do a slight undulating side-to-side upward-facing dog with my shoulders floating over my wrists, pressing the tops of my feet down into the earth. Exhale to downward-facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Come all the way up. Exhale, take your left hand down to your left hip, right hand to the base of your skull. On an inhale, lift your right arm up toward the stars, your right elbow toward the stars. Press down into your left hand. Inhale, come up the center. Exhale, your right hand to your right hip, left hand to the base of your skull. Inhale, left elbow straight up toward the stars. Exhale, press your right hip down toward the earth. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge the hips into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale into high plank. Then find low plank, knees up or down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Taking a deep, deep breath, hold it at the top. And then open your mouth, audibly sigh out like a hover. Inhale your right leg up. Now you can also do this from tabletop.
And then exhale, step your right leg forward, find Anjaneyasana. Float your right knee directly over your right ankle. Weight on the left side is on your left knee, and you can either press the top of your left foot down into the earth, or you can tuck those toes. You can come up onto the ball of that left foot. But either way, apply some pressure there. So to start, you might think about dragging the sole of your right foot towards your left knee, and vice versa. Hands on your thighs. Inhale with your head floating over your shoulders, over your hips. Exhale, gently rock forward, so not full extension. Inhale, lift back up to neutral. Exhale, a little bit forward. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, rock forward. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, rock forward and hold right here. Engage your left glute. Let your sits bones and your tailbone descend down towards your right heel any amount more. Come back to your breath. And then left hand down to the mat or to a block, right hand on your right thigh. This is a modified simple twist. So to start initially, twist your hips to the left as you open your heart to the right. And you can stay right here, or I'm going to take a gentle cycling action. So on an exhale, releasing the twist a little bit. Inhale, a little deeper twist. Hips twist to the left as a heart twist to the right. Inhale, release. Exhale, twist. Inhale, release. Exhale, twist. Inhale, release. Exhale, twist and hold. And then come back to center. If there's a block under your left hand, slide the block out of the way. Step your left leg back. Float your left hip over your right, or your right hip over your left in a modified side plank. So I pivoted my left ankle back behind me, like a kickstand on a bicycle. And then take the fingers of your right hand, float them up toward the stars. So your right arm, right hand, right shoulder, float over your left shoulder, left arm, left hand. Imagine a wall behind your head and shoulders. Press your head and shoulders back into that wall and lift your hips up a little bit more. Inhale. Exhale. Lower your left hand down to your mat. Find a modified high plank. Inhale in your modified high plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale. Press up to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up. Again, you can do this from tabletop with the right knee down. Exhale, step forward. Find Anjaneyasana on the second side. Left knee floating over your left ankle. You could choose, I didn't say this on the other side, but if you're getting too much sensation under your right knee, you could choose to pad that knee. Hands on your left thigh. Start, head floating over your shoulders, over your hips. Inhale right here. Exhale, any amount forward. Inhale, come up to neutral. Exhale, gently come forward. Inhale, come up to neutral. Exhale, gently come forward and hold right here. Engage your right glute. Lower your hips down towards your left heel any amount more. Feel a sense of opening along the hip flexors of your right leg. You can stay right here. I'm going to go into this modified simple twist. Right hand comes down to the mat or to a block. Left hand on your left thigh. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, twist your heart to the left as you twist your hips to the right. And stay right here. Or inhale, release the twist a little bit. Exhale, twist. Inhale, release. Exhale, twist. And you can do this either as a static pose, or you can take this gentle cycling movement to the cadence of your own breath. Now, movement or not, come back to center. If you've chosen a block under that right hand, shift the block out of the way. Step your left leg back, float your left hip over your right. Again, I'm pivoting on my right knee so that right heel comes back behind me.
Press the back of your head and your shoulders back. Float your left hand, left arm, left shoulder over your right shoulder, right arm, right hand. Inhale, lift your hips up another 2 inches. And then exhale your left hand down to the mat, modified high plank. Exhale, modified low plank. And then find downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward. On an exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, press down into your feet and rise. Come all the way up. Exhale your hands down through heart center. Down by your waist, palms facing forward. Sun Salutations A. Gently draw your belly button to your sternum. Take the back of your head back behind you by about a ½ inch. Press your inner ankles back behind you with your outer ankles down into the earth. So the sensation here, without moving your feet, is if you were trying to drag your heels apart to the outsides. And shift the weight, ground down into all 4 corners of your left foot, and open up your right hip, any version of Vrishasana, tree pose. So you can tripod this with the ball of your right foot down on the earth, the heel on the inside of your left shin. But the sole of that right foot can press into the inside of your left leg, inside of your left leg pressing back into the sole of your right foot. Now from here, draw your right knee back behind you and visualize lengthening between your left hip and your right knee. If you're a little bit wobbly here, that's okay. Lots of options with your hands. Hands at heart center, lotus hands. If it's in your practice, you can take reverse namaste hands behind your back. Or lift your fingertips up toward the stars. Let your tree grow branches. Relax your shoulder blades again. The balance is coming easily for you today. It's not particularly for me, but if it is for you, you can lift your gaze, look up toward the sun. Soften your gaze. Find a single point of focus, your drishti, something that's not moving. Focus your attention there. And exhale, gently draw everything down through center. Maybe shake your legs out. Back to Samastheshini. Ground down into all 4 corners. And then open up your left hip. Any version of tree pose on the second side. So same cues on the opposite direction. Press your left knee back behind you. Lengthen between your left knee and your right hip point. All right, so we're in Houston. I don't know what the weather's been like for you guys this year. We get lots of rain followed by warm sunny days. Trees love that. So press down into the sole of your right foot. Grow out of the ground and head another inch. Inhale. Exhale, slowly with control, draw everything down through center. Maybe shake your legs out. And then from Samastheshini on an inhale, sweep your arms all the way up over your head. Exhale, hinge at the hips into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale your hands down to your high plank and hold. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, lower your knees down to the earth. Then side your legs, come off your back. I'm going to change my orientation so you get a little better view. Grab a block. Take a visual look at your feet, at your legs. Make sure your knees, your feet are both hip distance apart. And make sure your heels are close enough you can gently reach down past your seat and brush your heels. Grab your block. We're going to do some modified bridges. On an inhale, draw your belly button towards your sternum. Press down into your feet. Lift your thighs, lift your hips. Slide your block onto your sacrum at the medium setting. Now the block is supporting us, but I'm asking you to continue to engage in your legs. Especially the heels. So lighten the balls of the feet. The balls of the feet won't lift up off the earth, but your toes may. So continue to engage and press down into the feet the whole time. Okay, so you can stay right here. If you're going to want to do the rest of your bridging right here, you don't have to change anything. But I'm going to invite you, if you like, to press down into your feet. Lift your thighs, lift your hips, and then one vertebrae at a time, roll all the way down. And stay on your full spine for one whole breath, one whole inhale. One whole exhale. And then grab your block again. On an inhale, draw your belly button towards your sternum. Press down into your feet. Lift your thighs, lift your hips. You can take your supported bridge at the same setting, or maybe the highest setting of the block. So here it would be easier if we chose to dump our whole body weight into that block, but I'm asking you to not do that. Continue to press down into your feet, engage, lifting your thighs, lifting your hips. Walk your shoulder blades back onto your back. Okay, if you don't want to stay here, we're going to do one more iteration after this. So you can change nothing. But I'm going to invite you to lift your thighs, lift your hips, remove your block. Slowly, deliberately, with control, come all the way down. Stay in your full spine for one whole breath, one whole inhale, one whole exhale. And then you can do this with or without a block. I'm going to choose an unsupported bridge. Press down into your feet, especially the heels. Lift the thighs, lift the hips. And here, usually we cue that the knees float over the ankles the whole side. But if they come out to the outside by about an inch on either side, that's okay here too. You can interlace your hands behind your back, press the palms of your hands together, press your knuckles down towards your heels, or you might choose to do your bridge with your arms reaching up over your head. But continue to engage, pressing down into the heels of your feet, lifting your thighs, lifting your hips. And then slowly, with control, lower everything down. In the same shape that we started with Supta Baddha Konasana, bring the soles of your feet together. Let gravity draw your knees down toward the earth. Pinky edge blades of your feet press down into the earth. We're going to do a little bit of light core work. So this is a gentle practice, but we still need to strengthen and engage our core. So draw your knees up together, grab a block, place your block between your inner thighs as close to the pubic bone as you can manage, and use your inner thighs, squeeze that block. Interlace your hands at the base of your skull, elbows point up toward the stars. So the hands and arms are supporting the neck, we're not pulling or tugging. On an inhale, squeeze your block, draw your belly button to your spine. Exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders as high as you can. And we're going to pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay lifted. If your lower back is tweaky, you could choose to stay right here. Otherwise, option to take your shins parallel to the earth. Flex your toes back towards your face. Inhale, squeeze your block, lift your hips, draw your belly button to your spine. Exhale, pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay lifted. Lower your feet down to the earth. Inhale, squeeze your block, draw your belly button to your spine, and pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your head, neck, and shoulders. Drop your block, but we're going to move right into cup and saucer flow. So float your knees over your hips, shins parallel to the earth. Flex all 10 toes back toward your face. With your right hand, make a cup. Cup it over your right knee. With your left hand, make a saucer to place it on your left knee. Use your arms to resist any movement of your feet. Flex all 10 toes back towards your face. Press your right heel forward like you were trying to touch the wall in front of you. Bring your left knee in, draw it in like you were trying to touch your chest. Maintain that resistance. Release that resistance. Cup with your left hand, cup it on your left knee. Saucer with your right hand, place it over your right knee. Press your left heel forward, draw your right knee in towards your chest. So this is a shape, movement I sequestered from physical therapy. But I find it really intense engagement in my abdomen here, but it's also an energetic release from the SI joint. Release that tension, make a fist with your right hand, place it between your knees, flex your toes back towards your face, and use your knees to squeeze your fist. And maintain that resistance. Relax. Cup with your left hand, cup it on your left knee, saucer with your right hand, place it on your right knee. Press your left heel forward, draw your right knee in. So if your legs are quivering or your abdomen is smoked out now, it's fully natural. This is not easy. Relax. Cup with your right hand, saucer with your left hand, press your right heel forward, draw your left knee in. Relax. Make a fist with your left hand, place it between your knees, flex all 10 toes back towards your face again, use your knees to squeeze your fist. Relax. Go ahead and lower your feet down to the earth. Now check your feet and knees again and set up as if we were setting up for another round of bridges, but this time take the pinky edge blade of your right foot, place it on the outside of your left thigh just above the knee, flex the toes on your right foot back towards your right knee, and then take your right arm, thread it through this little triangular shape we created, interlace your hands on the back of your left thigh, your left shin, flex the toes on your left foot back towards your face, and then use your arms, draw your left knee in towards your chest, press your right knee forward. If you remember, at the beginning of the practice as a benchmark, we did a no-arm thread needle. This is the same movement, we're just doing it with the assistance of the arms. Come back to your breath. Release your left leg, return solely your left foot down to the earth. Release your right foot, and we're going to take this on the other side. So pinky edge blade of your left foot comes to the outside of your right thigh, just above the knee. Flex the toes on your right foot back towards your left knee. And then interlace your hands behind your left thigh or on the left shin. Flex those toes back towards your face. And then you can pull your right knee in towards your chest, press your left knee forward. Now another option here, I don't have so much mobility since the hip replacement. That's still coming, I'm working on that. So I'm going to stabilize my left foot with my right hand, and I'm going to use the palm of my left hand to gently traction pressure on the inside of my left inner thigh, pressing that left knee toward the top edge of my mat. So for your body, with or without a hip replacement, this could be all the sensation you need. If that's the case, there's nothing wrong with this at all. And gently release that. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze. Start to rock from head to heel, eventually coming up into a seated position. Now for me, I'm tight in my hamstrings and low back. I'm going to elevate my seat up on a block. Bring the sole of your left foot in towards your groin. Extend your right leg out in front of you. Press into the heel of that right foot like you're trying to stand on the wall behind you. Flex those toes back towards your face. Inhale, sweep your fingers off toward the stars, and then on an exhale with a flat back, hinge forward over that right thigh. Now, I'm not super flexible in my hamstrings. I'm going to use the strap under the ball of my right foot and try to apply equal pressure, drawing my heart forward with a flat back. Now, once you reach your maximum range of extension with a flat back, if you want to round a little bit in your upper back and neck, that's okay.
transition to the other side, I'm going to loosen and put some slack in the strap because I'm going to use it for Happy Baby. I'll show you when we get there. On an inhale with a flat back, start to lift yourself up out of the shape. And then change the setup with your legs. So press the heel of your left foot forward. Draw your right knee in towards your groin. Flex all 5 toes on your left foot back toward your face, as much through the pinky toe as you do your big toe. And then inhale, open your heart up to the front edge of your mat, maybe lifting your fingers skyward. Exhale with a flat back, hinge forward. With or without the support of the strap. So one of my early teachers used to say that using props like blocks, straps, bolsters, and blankets is our way of communicating to the universe that we're open and receptive to receiving help. I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. And who couldn't use a little help in 2020? With a flat back on an inhale, start to lift yourself up. I'm going to remove my block, but then place the soles of your feet on the earth, hands behind your thighs, gently lower yourself down onto your back, and then find child's pose. Take the soles of your feet parallel to the ceiling, and your hands can come to the pinky edge blades of your feet. You can wrap peace fingers around your big toes. For me, I find these days my Happy Baby is much happier with the strap. So if you choose to do that, place the strap around the balls of your feet, and I like a fairly wide loop here. And grab the top strap here. So whichever arrangement you take, soles of your feet stay parallel to the ceiling. Use whatever tool, your hands or your straps for traction, your knees down toward the earth for a gentle hip opening. Maybe even be a joyful baby, rocking your hips from side to side. And then release your Happy Baby. Bring the soles of your feet down to the earth. Bend in your knees. Tee your arms out to the side. Right, so it sounds like I'm going to set you up for a supine twist, but please don't pop directly into the twist. We're going to do something else instead. Wrap your right knee over your left if that's comfortable. Walk your hips over to your right. But instead of folding those knees to the left in the supine twist, lift your knees like you were trying to touch your shin with your right knee. Take your left hand to the outside, to just the top of your left shin, just below the knee. Use that left hand to gently traction your right knee down towards your left shoulder. So you may not feel every shape in the same place that I feel it, but here I feel a lot of sensation on the IT band in my right thigh. But this is a piriformis stretch. So if I increase the sensation by drawing my right knee closer down toward my left shoulder, I feel this all the way into my lower back. Alright, release this nautilus pose. Uncross your right knee. Cross your left knee over your right. Walk your hips over to the left. Draw your knees up like you were trying to touch your chin with your left knee. And then take your right hand on your left shin, just below the knee. Gently traction your left knee down toward your right shoulder. Softer with the breath now that we're approaching the sensation and the shape of our final resting pose. Release your left knee, take the soles of your feet down to the earth, and then stretch out, take the final resting shape of your practice, your Shavasana. So you have all kinds of options. You can take a conventional Shavasana. You can take your legs up the wall, or if you've got a bolster under your knees, you do Shavasana on your belly. For today, I'm going to do a constructed rest shape with the soles of my feet on the mat, a bend in my knees, feet up nice and wide, and gently like gravity draw my knees in toward one another. Whatever shape you choose, you can have the backs of your hands down on your mat, anywhere from down by your waist to all the way up over your head. Or, for today, I'm going to take both of my hands, palms facing down on my abdomen, the base of my ribcage. So find a shape that allows you to fully relax. For almost the last hour, we worked really hard.
And here, in this shape, our only task is to surrender to our mat. If you maintain your Ujjayi breath, this whole practice, go ahead and release that now. Come back to a natural breath. Swallow once or twice. And then begin to draw some deeper breaths, bringing your body back to life after this time of rest. You can maintain stillness this whole time. Or you have the option here to reanimate your body with some very small movements, maybe wiggling your fingers or your toes, or gently drawing your chin from shoulder to shoulder. Option now for some larger movements, maybe rotating your hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles. Or if a full body stretch would feel good to you, you could reach your arms all the way up overhead. Maybe your arms reaching up well up past the back edge of your mat, pointing through your toes, reaching them forward, maybe well past the top edge of your mat. Maybe enough that the center of your back lifts up off the earth. And then one leg at a time, draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze. Recognize and honor yourself for your hard work on your mat today, your devotion to your practice. Gently roll off onto either side into a fetal position, a child's sleeping pose. And then press yourself up into a seated position with your legs crossed, your eyes closed, your hands are heart center facing the top edge of your mat. Thank you, sisters and brothers. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may your practice grow and evolve for your body, your mind, and your spirit as you grow and evolve in your life as well. Bring your thumbs to your Ajna chakra, the point between your eyebrows. Blessings to you and your family, my friends. And that concludes our practice for today. Thank you again, friends. In keeping all the families and communities in the pathway of Hurricane Gloria